Here is a man who was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in another obscure village. He worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30, and then for years he was an internet preacher. He never wrote a book. He never held an office. He never went to college. He never put his foot inside a big city. He never traveled 200 miles from the place of his birth. He never did one of the things that accompanies greatness. 19 wide centuries have come and gone, and today he is in the center of the human race and the leader of the column of progress. I am far within the mark when I say that all the armies of the world that ever marched and that ever were built, and all the navies that were ever built, and all the parliaments that ever sat, and all the kings that ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of man upon this earth, as did that one solitary life.
Delarosa in Jerusalem that day. The soldiers tried to clear the narrow streets, but the crowd pressed in to see the man condemned to die on Calvary. Down the Via Delarosa, called the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King. And he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Delarosa, all the way to Calvary. He was bleeding from a beating, there were stripes upon his back, and he wore a crown of thorns upon his head. And he bore with every step the scorn of those who cried out for his death. Down the Via Delarosa, called the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King. And he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Delarosa, all the way to Calvary.